unemployment that has been a major problem for the country's youth over a decade now, and the graduates have also been struggling to find their space in the employment sector. 2024 marking 30 years of South Africa's democratic rule, and it also is an election year. So what does this year have in store for the country's graduates? Let's speak now to Newzroom Afrika's Ziniko Mhlaba, who is out and about this morning. Ziniko, good morning to you. A very important discussion that you and I are about to have, because the youth of South Africa are effectively the future of this country, and if they remain unemployed, therefore the constant refrain has been, or the warning, should we say, has been that this is a disaster waiting to happen. Is there any hope from their end, particularly the graduates, that they are hopefully going to get employed this year?
That's a very important question, Olilo. Also remember that according to Stats SA, young people are at the most affected by unemployment in South Africa. However, marking 30 years of democracy, I think conversations must be had about whether young people are still hopeful that things might change going into the next decade or so, which is beyond the 30th anniversary of the country's democratic process, but also looking at how are they going to use this particular year, to take up some responsibility and change their own destination. Or maybe they're still hopeful with the current policies of government and the current direction which, the country has been taking in terms of trying to revive or create more jobs in different sectors. So that's the conversation I'm about to have right now with Ganakana Mutanani, who's from the South African Economic Youth Council here in South Africa, so that he gives us an answers to those questions. I'm going to bring him in right now. Mutanani, a very important year, marking 30 years of democracy in South Africa. Graduates in this country have been mostly affected. As much as we're saying, education is the key to success, but the market, the job market, is just not open enough for this to consume or to absorb, these graduates. What does this year mean for you guys as graduates? Someone who studied and say, I've got this qualification, but I'm still jobless.
Good morning, Ziniko, and good morning to your viewers as well at home. I think, firstly, we are very satisfied with the turnout of young people who have registered to vote this year, but we believe that many of them still do need to come in their numbers, because to all of us, a vote is our expression of either confidence in the government or a lack of confidence therein in the current government. So I do think that young people must come out in their numbers, and they must express either their excitement or their devastation through casting their vote. So 2024 to us means quite a lot, because this is a year where we get to either express our devastation, or we again say to the ruling party, go back and ensure that you implement your policies, so that we can see quite a number of young people being absorbed into the job market. But I think the shortcomings are in the private sector, and the inability of the government to regulate the private sector in such a way that it compels the private sector to create more jobs for young people. You speak quite saddening about the issue of young people who are graduates who still remain despondent and are not participating in this economy, yet they've got the necessary skills to contribute. So we are saying to those young people, the only way we can express our devastation is by going into the ballot and cast our vote, and vote for a party that has a manifesto that speaks to our needs to participate in the economy. So we are saying to all young people, those that form part of our membership and those that do not, we want you to go out, read the manifesto of the various political parties that are there, and identify a political party that will be the necessary vehicle to usher into what is called the second phase of the National Democratic Revolution, which is economic freedom.
I mean, talk about political parties. Clearly something is not working in terms of depending on political parties, to direct your own destiny as graduates and as general young people. So have you done some self-introspection as graduates themselves to say, from our side, what is it that we're lacking that is not enabling us to get in the job market? And why are you still hopeful that political parties, can still solve the problems that are faced by young people.
What I love about democratic processes is that you vote a political party into power. And even when they are in power, you have the ability to hold them accountable, to track how far are they in terms of progress with regards to their manifesto. So I am saying to young people, we've got to come out in our numbers to cast our vote, but that is just the first step. We've got to engage ourselves in democratic processes that are going to assist us in holding whoever we elect into government accountable. We firmly believe that outside of political power, we will not be able to influence the position and the policies that the government might take. So we've got to maintain a stance that young people, even though they feel like their vote does not count, it actually does. Let's go out and vote for a political party that has a manifesto that speaks to our economic needs. And once we are done with that, let's take part in those political parties so that when they are in government, they advocate for the very same manifesto which they presented to us as young people. But for those who are still wondering whom are they going to vote for, as a council, sometime in April, we are going to host at least the top 5 political parties, and they are going to present their manifesto to us, and we will say to young people who are going to be in attendance, you've listened to all these guys, you must therefore make a decision as to who is the best person you can trust with.
My initial question was that it seems as if political parties have not worked in terms of addressing unemployment in this country. We've seen through different sitters, through different initiatives by the current government, but millions of South Africans are still not able to get permanent jobs. So is there a way out of this unemployment crisis outside the political sphere? I think that's the essence of my question here, looking at how things have unfolded for the past 30 years.
Youth unemployment is a serious issue, and I think we speak about it every single day on Twitter, on any other platform, right? It is quite impressive that even political parties themselves consistently speak about this issue. But as you are indicating, what is worrisome is the fact that no one has actually taken the initiative to resolve this process. But as I am saying to you, there has been a lack of participation from us as young people in the various democratic processes and government policies that will enable us to solve the unemployment crisis. For instance, currently we've got the IRP 2019, which is out for public commentary, right? It's speaking much more on the energy crisis and what energy solutions do we need. So if we do not take part in these things, we will consistently complain about load shedding. The Department of Small Business Development not so long ago had issued an SMME policy for public commentary. I am interested in knowing how many young people who are actually SMME owners commented on that policy or on that draft. That's why we exist as an organization, to consistently say, young people, yes, we have voted these people into power. However, let's be cognizant of the kind of policies they want to implement, and where we are against what they want to implement, let us go out, make the necessary comments, make the necessary protests. There's also now an issue of NSFAS. We are in the new year. You will see quite a number of students who are going to be devastated by this issue. It is now up to us to say, what do we do about that? So to answer your question, we've got to be involved extremely in policy making, in these political parties that we have elected into power. We must not just vote and sit back. Politics, as I would say, it's way too complicated to just leave it to politicians.
Okay, let's leave it then, Mr. Mutsananda. Thank you very much for your time and analysis of the crisis that young people are faced with in terms of unemployment in this country. So that's the view of the South African Youth Council, an organization that is really engaging young people in economic policies, but also participation in democratic processes. They are saying that, well, it seems as if there's no better solution outside the political processes as far as political parties are concerned. So that's the view of this particular generation and grouping. But, in the next hour or so, we'll be engaging small businesses as well to get a sense of how they're viewing this year as we mark 30 years into democracy and also an election year.
Thank you very much, Ziniko Mhlaba, out and about, getting the views of people as we begin this year, what's likely to be a very interesting year.